Hey everyone, welcome back and welcome to another reading Gemini. This is going to be your reading for June 2021. It's great to be back and it's great to see you guys again. So, let's see what's going on this month. All right. The overall energy for June for you, we have the Knight of Cups. So there's a feeling that is growing within you to do something or to say something this month. And you may be wondering whether or not to break your silence. You may be wondering whether or not to, and if you haven't been silent, you may be wondering whether or not to really let loose and say some of the things that you've been holding back for some time. That's a bit of a scary concept because I don't know, you don't hold back much. So when we get to thinking about, you taking it a step further and saying some things that you've been keeping close to your chest, or doing some things that you have been wanting to do for some time, I would just caution you against that, because how you go about it or how it's going to come off is, you just want to be careful about that. Now, what do I mean? Doing what you want to do is all well and good, and having an opinion of sorts, that's, you're well within your rights to do that. No one's trying to take that right away from you. But it's when you believe in your opinion so ardently that you can't see the forest for the trees, or other perspectives, other input that would otherwise be beneficial to you and keep you morally upright, gets pushed off to the side, then things can get things can get pretty dicey. Things can get pretty ugly pretty quickly. I say all that to say, our feelings, they require a lot of responsibility when it comes to how big of a role we allow them to play in our decision-making process, and how big of a role we allow them in the framing of our mentality and our perspective. If it's ever at the point where your feelings are in conflict or in contrast with the truth, with facts, there must be checks and balances in place to keep you from going too far, to keep you from going over the edge, to keep you from trying to get the things that you want by any means necessary, at the risk of some relationships that are important to you, that you do care about, or at the risk of your reputation and who you perceive yourself to be. So handling our emotions responsibly is the task for you this month. Now, that will be an ongoing challenge, something that we must work on throughout the month. And If you're someone that is devoted to growth and self-development, you want to be aware of your feelings and be aware when you are making things personal. But what it's also, what I was getting to is that for the first few weeks in June, your planet will be in retrograde. So yes, this is something that will be something that you'll have to monitor in the present. But I do think that there is a possibility for some chickens to come home to roost. Some decisions that you guys have made, some conclusions that you've come to in the past that you have allowed to proliferate. You're having to come to terms with the consequences of those actions. You're having to come to terms with the reality that sometimes you're not always right. And more often than not, it's in those instances where your feelings or your emotions cloud your judgment. You allow what you're feeling in the moment to confuse you further and steer you farther away from the truth. Gemini energy at the bottom of the deck. It starts with you, and it can end with you too. What do I mean by that? I mean that it is never too late to take responsibility. It's never too late to acknowledge your missteps. Depending on your situation, that may require you actually verbalizing it to the appropriate parties, or it could be just you being honest with yourself and you pointing it out to yourself. Resist the urge to take shortcuts. Anything that looks too good to be true, or it looks like it's going to be a quick fix to a really big issue, I wouldn't trust it. Do your research when it comes to that. Really make sure that everything checks out, and don't allow the people around you to make up your mind for you. And don't subscribe to any ideologies that are foreign to you without having a solid understanding of the implications, without making sure that it's actually representative of who you are and what you believe in, and what you believe in and what you want to represent. You are brilliant, charismatic, and magnetic people, and unfortunately, you have attracted the wrong sort. There are those who would seek to use that to their advantage and ride your coattails to push some kind of agenda of their own. Could be a maternal figure, a mother figure. Or this could just be signs of some very codependent relationships in your life. The approach needs to be softer. You need to get into your empathy bag and try to understand perspectives different than your own. Try to understand what's trying to be shown to you, or what wants to be shown to you. And I know that may sound a bit contradictory, because I was just saying that, you know, you do have some people around you that you really want to be careful when just jumping on the bandwagon and supporting the same things that they support. But be open to fresh ideas, be open to fresh perspectives, be open to the right way of going about something, be open to, you know what I mean? The way your knowledge of a situation is not the end all be all of it. Don't trust anything that your common sense is telling you this month that you shouldn't. If it doesn't sound right, then it's not right. And if you try to force it, if you try to press the issue to make it work, it's gonna blow up in your face. And at the end of the day, you know, do you even really care? Is it really worth it? And at the end, what is asked of you is it's a lot. It's a lot, just depending on who you are and how comfortable you are with it. But what's asked of you is vulnerability and honesty. I'm in no way suggesting that you are not an honest person. I'm just saying that the situation that you're dealing with will require an acknowledgement of the truth. It will require you taking off your armor and, yes, opening yourself up to the criticism of the people who feel let down by you. But coming clean can be a very liberating experience. We're going to talk about these one more time. One sec. Hey everyone, here are your cards again for June. Let's talk about these one more time. So there's something that you have been fighting for, standing up for some time, Gemini, and it is a perspective, a way of viewing a situation that you believe in without a shadow of a doubt. And I hope that the first part of the reading didn't seem too harsh. That energy was just coming through very strongly, and I had to be honest about what I saw and what I was feeling. And that honest conversation is very representative of one that you need to have with yourself, that you don't necessarily have to have, but I think that it will help you find your footing again. I think it will help you find a way out of the fog. It's your light at the end of the tunnel. It is your saving grace. And it becomes even more challenging because in order for you to go down that path, in order for you to have that conversation with yourself, it means that you do have to admit that there's a problem somewhere. There's something that requires your attention. There's something that you didn't quite get right. But the trick here is your desire to come clean, your desire to do the right thing must be stronger than any fear that you may have that there'll be egg on your face, or that it has to be stronger than the shame that you feel for having gotten it wrong. And you're very creative, especially when it comes to thinking up solutions, ways to put the fires out. So much so that the risk is very high for you to continue to forsake your responsibilities and continue to dodge accountability, because this month your ability to rationalize those choices that you made and some that you still have to make is very high. So an objective viewpoint is the order of the day, and the one that you would benefit most from. And once you have done that kind of internal work, then you use your voice. You use that talent that you have for good. There are some people around you that cannot be trusted. Why? Because they will say anything to you to get in your good graces. They will say anything to you to make you feel as though they're on your side or that they have your best interest in mind. But at the end of the day, when the dust settles, you're standing alone and you have to take that L by yourself. You get stuck with the fallout. You get stuck with the consequences of what you have allowed to transpire. One person can only handle so much, and if you're going to defend an ideology, let it be your own, and not one that was implanted in you, not one that someone is trying to get you to believe is built on truth and is ethically correct. When your mind is telling you, when your heart is telling you that they're wrong and that there is another way. Don't be ashamed, and don't blame yourself. You can take accountability without there being, blame involved. There are a couple benefits to that, and let's talk about them. The first of which is that it gets easier to sleep at night, which I can see here it may have been hard for some of you. The second is that you preserve some of your dignity while everything comes crashing down. You have the comfort of knowing that you have the ability to slay some demons on your descent and rebuild your brand. It has to be deeper than speaking up just to save face or speaking up out of fear. It has to be genuine. There has to be feeling behind it, and you have to mean it when you say whatever it is that you want to say. Any situations that you guys are in that are no longer, where your presence is no longer there, we must remember that ideas persist, ideas last, they are timeless. So if you are responsible for adding fuel to the fire, just know that your words are powerful enough to put it out as well. Or at least it would help. Especially if you are dealing with a Taurus, a Libra, a Capricorn, a Scorpio, or an Aries. It's a scary thing being transparent. It means that you accept that what you have to say will not always be liked. But if you're saying the right thing and what needs to be said, it can never be too late. And you will be acknowledged for your bravery. You will be acknowledged at least for having the courage to show up to the ring, being willing. It might not seem like much now. It's one of those things, it's that payoff that you can't really comprehend just how good that will feel until you've actually gone through it. We are going to clarify these more in the extended reading. The link is going to be in the description box. Guys, thank you for being here. Also, if you would like a personal reading, the link is there for that as well. I'll see you next time. Bye.